somebody said a very beautiful thing to me at an airport कि यार आपने ना हीरो के दोस्त को ना इज्जत दिला दी है.
There is so much love that is coming in.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. It's like literally I was standing in my balcony with my Titanic pose. And I was like, I want to just like absorb all of this.
I used to stand naked in front of the mirror and be like, awesome. Wow.
मेरे लिए सक्सेस का मतलब सिर्फ एक है, जब जिस वक्त जो काम करने का मन हो उस वक्त वो काम करने की आजादी और खुद मुख्तारी.
Anu ma'am, when was the last time we actors sitting on the table flirting with you?
You know who I'm married to, na? Nobody flirts with me.
Minister, we love you too. Minister, we love you too.
I want to start with you.
Yes.
For me, and I've seen 10 episodes, folks. I'm ahead of you. I have, but no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. But Vikram, what came across to me in those 10 episodes was your love for the movies. There's so much care. There is so much research in every frame of this show. But, the late 40s, the early 50s was such a rich time for Hindi cinema. How did you and Atul Sabharwal, the writer, decide these are the stories that we want to keep and these are the ones we throw away?
I think the overriding thing for us, always, for Atul and me, was always that characters have to come front and center. Everything else has to take a backseat when it comes to characters. Make a compelling drama that can be made in the 40s or the 50s or the 70s or the 80s or now, or if it's not the film industry, some other industry, but it's compelling. You're with these characters, you're following their journeys, and therefore everything else, you're kind of educating, but it's all happening while you don't even realize it. So
well, the characters, and you'll all agree with me, are just incredible. So Prasenjit, Srikanth Roy was one of my favorites. This is a man who's just so sort of imperious. He's so arrogant. And this happens later on, guys. This is one of my favorite lines where he says, "Waqt ki kya औकात है कि श्रीकांत के आगे निकल जाए." I was like, "Wow, kya line hai?" But he also does awful things, right? He's a man who's very callous and he does many, many awful things. But my sense is that, Vic, you love this guy. Not the actor, the character.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Because he's the ultimate showman. And I feel you liked him too. Did you like him?
Yeah, of course. I think failure is something which we all have learned for years. And that's something which everybody fails. I mean, in a point of time, I think the people were, too successful. Then they get a kind of what I believe that a kind of a confidence, a kind of a what I think is right. But sometimes it doesn't work in any field. It's not only for film industry. It's my so there we start failing, and we start doing wrong things, wrong decisions. So Srikanth Roy, but I think Srikanth Roy's plus point is that he only believes that he has a huge passion about cinema, where I connect myself. Like I've been working for the last 40 years, so. This man, whatever he has done, he is, of course, he has a personal relationship, everything. But end of the day, it's cinema, and he wants to make a star. He believes in it. He believes in Vinod, and he knows that he can be, Madan. So that's the challenge he takes, and for that he loses a lot of things, and which is. And I think Srikanth is a very, very close and very, I think for a director, when he narrated me, I think that is the exact word. He's in love with this Srikanth Roy character. He's in love with all the characters, basically.
Not to answer for him, but I think the affinity towards Srikanth Roy comes from the fact that he's a pioneer.
Yes,
yeah.
And a risk taker.
A risk taker and a pioneer, and that's exactly what we want all of ourselves to be eventually in the movies. And I think that's
hopefully
what
without
a bit of a
without doing some of the things he
hopefully
does.
yeah, 100%. But at least the the intention and the ambition to kind of go out there and make movies for the screen and do these things. And the way we've at least shown him that he's the one who invented playback singing. He's the one who's invented.
He's done it all.
He's done it all.
And you guys, he has 243 credits as an actor on IMDb. Unbelievable.
How do you even do so many?
I know.
Like, how is it possible?
Exactly. They're just time
He's been working for 40 years now. 40.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sitting at home for a year now.
We tried to calculate how many hours he would have been on set.
That's right. Just figure that one out. Apar, coming to Binod Das. Again, a guy who does very, very complicated things.
Yeah,
Gives up a lot of his humanity to become this great star. Now, obviously, I'm not drawing any real life parallels here, but I think for you to play this role is sort of inspired casting, because you have spent so many years being the hero's best friend or being the comic relief.
Yeah.
Did you tap into the frustration of those moments
No,
to
no,
play
no,
this man?
No, there is. I mean, when you talk about my earlier work or otherwise also in general, frustration, bitterness, these are not a part of my DNA. They were never. When I was growing up in school, college, I was always a happy guy. If at all I don't get my toy, I will maybe pick up, मिट्टी उठा के अपना खिलौना बना के उससे खेल लिए. It's like that, So I mean, a toy which I could not afford maybe at one point of time. So, I mean, ये bitterness, frustration, ये चीजें मेरे life की, वही नहीं है, सूरी नहीं है.
तो फिर विनोद में कैसे इतनी अच्छी तरह कर लिया?
वो तो विक्रम सर ने करवाया है. But having said that, yeah, talking about, hero's best friend, I think ये 2-3 दफा अलग-अलग जगहों पे बात हो चुकी है इस बारे में. Somebody said a very beautiful thing to me at an airport कि यार आपने ना हीरो के दोस्त को ना इज्जत दिला दी है हिंदी फिल्मों में. So when people come and say such things to me, I think वो एक एक्टर की जीत है, वो एक आर्टिस्ट की जीत है, वो उस फिल्म की जीत है जिन फिल्मों में मैंने काम किया. And also in a very candid conversation with one of the journalists, I remember they were like, क्यों यार अब तो मुझे लगता है कि आप रेडी हो. मैंने कहा आपका बड़प्पन है, ये कह रहे हो, ऑडियंस कह रही है आपका बड़प्पन है, लेकिन I mean जस्ट इन केस मैं रेडी नहीं भी हूँ तो अगर हर कोई हीरो बन जाएगा तो हीरो का दोस्त कौन बनेगा, so but touch wood, those were conversations 3 years back. Then cut to such films and shows which touch wood gave me a better platform, so to say, and a better lines and parts to deliver. And I mean I can't thank Vikram sir enough to show that confidence, especially जो आप बात बोल रहे हो, हाँ ये मेरी पोजीशनिंग थी 3 साल 2 साल पहले तक, और मे बी 1 हफ्ते पहले तक, मे बी जब तक ये शो नहीं आया था. But it takes a lot of guts to put this cast together.
Yeah.
Maybe not these 2 people, because I think we have seen enough of their work and they kind of honey yaar,
It's a compliment.
It's a compliment. Of course, it's a compliment. There is no way I'll slander my cast down in front of Anupama ma'am. No ways at all. But I think for people sitting on this side of the conversation, we are in a way newcomers, and also I mean we come from very different backgrounds कि इस शो में हम कास्ट हो सकें. I think kudos to them, and I think you really it takes guts जो इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे आपको उतारा जाए. Prime Video with an A-lister director with such an amazing show where there's so much to do. So touch wood, there is a paradigm shift, and I'm touch wood very
No,
happy
you're
about
absolutely right.
We can't usually hear him.
it. Yeah.
So I was talking about Hero ka best friend. No, when Apar was talking about Hero ka best friend, I was this bell was ringing in my ears, and I was like, look at my track in the journey, Jai Khanna, Hero ka best friend, and then Hero ka friend, and then look at the track where it goes. So it's like life is unpredictable. If you
Touch
just,
wood, yeah.
It is.
just hold on.
You just hold on. And you have held on, Siddhant, for 8 years.
Yeah.
Everyone is sort of like, what a star, right?
Oh, thank you.
No, it's true. And
I have to say something, please.
Yes.
I was so unwell last night, but it was this interview with you that I just didn't want to miss.
Thank
because
you.
there's something so nice about you, and also it's it's the way you speak. There's so much I don't know what there. It's so much niceness, and also your love for cinema, the way you talk to actors, and the way you talk about their craft and the way you listen, it's just so
thank
nice.
you.
It's very
Thank
polite
you.
and nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm embarrassed.
Okay. So yeah. Now we talk. Now
We
we
such
should
way.
talk.
We love the way you dress up. We love the way you know. Okay. Anuman, when was the last time, the actors sitting on the table were flirting with you?
You who I'm married to, nobody flirts with me.
Vidisha, we love you too. Vidisha, we love you too.
Yeah.
Siddharth, tell me, what have the last few days been like? Because you wait 8 years and everyone thinks, oh, it's an overnight success. It's never an overnight success.
I know. So when it was on the verge of releasing, I was very calm for some reason, and I was like, this has given me what it had to give me, because it's like a lifetime that I spent. It feels like that, and when you give everything to a character and you every single second of the day, perhaps for a year and a half, it gives you something in return, and that was beautiful. And I was like, it cannot give me more. It's not possible. And then suddenly it releases, and I remember reviews starts to come in, and I'm also, there's this curiosity that I want to read all of them. At the same time, I was like, do I want to read it or just, I don't know, it's like, I hope it's not negative, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. How those thoughts, they ring in your ears. And then my best friend sent me something, and it was a review from some person, and it was very meaningful, and he was like, you must read it. That's the first review I read. And it spoke about Atul Sabharwal, a writer, and he mentioned this little scene in the series where I go to this cobbler and he fixes my shoe for free. And that guy had mentioned how Atul Sabharwal's father used to be a cobbler, and how he really joined the dots. And I was like so touched, and I was like, how humanity finds its voice.
Yeah.
That's the most beautiful thing. And I was like, what? Thank God I started reading it.
And वो dialogue भी बहुत अच्छा है कि जब ऊपर वाले जिस पे जो I think चप्पल मारा उनसे पैसे मिले थे. बहुत प्यारा dialogue है.
And then he wrote something. So sorry, I'm going to say this about me. It was just one line, and he was like, you can see. I don't know if I should. Okay, I'll say it. He just said this one line, and it was like, you can see the star in him before Jai Khanna becomes one. I was like, wow, this is like
Nice.
so beautiful.
Nice.
And I was like, and then that's when I started reading some stuff. I was like, send me something meaningful and I'll read it, because, So I started reading, and I was like, there is so much love that is coming in.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It's like literally I was standing in my balcony with my Titanic pose. And I was like, I want to just absorb all of this. And why not? It's
Absolutely.
and it's so simple. If you just really do something with your heart, it will just, touch all those hearts there are. That's the beauty of this work. I was like, there's so much love. I wish everyone could give it to everyone. I mean,
No, but truly, what you said, that this series feels like everyone's done it with their heart, right?
Yeah.
So, Aditi, coming to Sumitra, and I was just telling Aditi, we need a Jubilee line of clothes and earrings. Because I literally want everything that Sumitra was wearing. But moving beyond how gorgeous you looked, here's a woman who's just like a walking contradiction, because she's obviously somebody with some amount of power. She runs that studio, or she co-runs the studio with her husband. And yet, finally, she controls so little. And that's what's so heartbreaking about her. And you nailed that. How did you find that specific tone?
I think, when Vikram sir told me about Sumitra, I was like, me? And, they were talking about this very sassy boss woman, and she's almost prickly, and she has this wall, between her and it's also that time where stars they had that ephemeral, magical quality, and you didn't have any access to them, and she's very much that person. And so that's the first thing I got to know about her. And then, of course, there were some physical references that were given to me. And then we started the whole process of discovering who this person is. And that always happens together. And I love to do that. And that's the most fun part of it. And I think it's only in hindsight, like maybe I'm not possibly more instinctive, and I can't always, put it into words so clearly, but doing promotions, it becomes clearer to you because you keep talking about it. I think with Sumitra, what I think I really caught on to was that what her core is. And it is very much that also of an actor, of a female actor, where you have to constantly possibly protect yourself, maintain that sort of dignity, and I'm saying at that time as well, function in a man's world, constantly, there's those lines where she's like, but I'm the star. Like, why is everything dependent on Madan Kumar? I'm the biggest star here. But there is also that fragility. And I think I very happily held on to that fragility because I thought it was so important to make that goddess-like heroine human. Yeah. And her loss, her almost childlike dream to actually have a life, an idealistic life with a penniless actor. And the fact that...
What a dashing penniless actor.
Yes, absolutely. But she has everything. She has everything but that yearning for what is truly, truly, truly important. And I feel like somewhere I connect so much with that because we are actors, and sometimes people forget that we are also human beings who bleed and feel, and we call our mothers and cry, or whatever it is. And I really empathized with her, and I loved playing the layers. And honestly, I really had to break my own instincts because of this, little things like just, I don't sit and look at people like this. I never do that. And it's just like, the way the lines were written, it just made me want to look at people a certain way. But inside is that little girl's desire and dream, and that whole thing of just being trapped in that castle, building the walls, but yearning to break them. And I really enjoyed that. But it was all written and it was all given. And also the references helped me. There was Maharani Gayatri Devi, there was Audrey Hepburn, and Vikram sir forced me, because I was like saying, no, I don't want to watch anything. He made me sit and watch The Favourite for Rachel Weisz, just to say ki, Aditi, not you. At least in parts of it, not you. So yeah, but it was a fun exploration, and I really felt the heart of it. And that's what really grounded it for me. Yeah.
Momika, what grounded Niloufar? Niloufar's just fab. She's just so feisty. Right? Yeah, I loved her. Yeah. She's just so like willing to take a leap of faith and willing to do what she can with the very limited piece of the world that she's been given. What was his brief to you?
There was no brief as such. Obviously, he narrated it. I read the script. And when you read the script, आपको समझ आ जाती है.
दिखने लगता है.
हाँ, मतलब जैसी वो है आपको समझ आ जाती है. उसके बाद आपका काम है to understand कि वो ऐसी क्यों है, So बहुत मजा आया मुझे वो explore करने में. And I think the reason I am an actor is कि ऐसे ना खुद की life और खुद की body आत्मा छोड़ के ऐसे लगता है कहीं और किसी और में चले जाते हैं, उसको समझने लग जाते हैं, उसकी problems को अपनी problems बना लेते हैं, उसकी insecurities को अपनी insecurities, उसके confidence को अपना confidence. And Niloufar thinks that she is, thinks क्या, उसको बस पता है, she's born with it, she's awesome, she wakes up awesome. So to play her was such a beautiful experience, such a fun experience. I remember कि मेरी खुद की insecurities with my body, one of the exercises that I used to do while prepping for Niloufar is, I used to stand naked in front of the mirror and be like, wow.
Yeah, nice.
I used to have like major insecurities about my body, but with Niloufar, she helped me heal, I remember जब ये सब हो रहा था मेरी life में ना, मैं रियल लाइफ में भी ना थोड़ी नीलोफर होती जा रही थी. मुझे ना समझ में नहीं आता कि ये साला हो क्या रहा है. I used to talk to Siddhant about it. I said, Siddhant, I don't feel myself, you know, there's something wrong. And he was like, तू नीलोफर है. And मुझे बहुत देर में समझ आया कि वो हेलो स्टॉप, जहाँ हील करना है वहाँ हील करो और जहाँ मत घुसो. तो मुझे
Don't let it take over.
मुझे धीरे-धीरे ना समझ में आया कि oh wait, I'm just really, this character is really like, you know, overpowering me. तो मुझे धीरे-धीरे समझ में आने लगा कि वो कैसे, because I was living that character, and क्योंकि इतने दिन हमने शूट किया है, every day you're thinking about her, every day you're trying to understand her, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं was taking over. Now I can balance it out very nicely. But yeah, I don't know. अब मैं भूल गया आपका question क्या था. मैं कहीं और पहुंच गई. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Nandish, I have to bring you in because your character is, of course, a character, but he's also an idea, right? The idea of this purist artist who will not be dazzled by Hindi cinema, who will do theatre instead of the movies, who will, you know, who will be only about the craft. How did you find, but he has to also have humanity, but he also has to be larger than life. How did you find that humanity?
Well, for me, finding the humanity was not that much of a problem because I myself am a very emotional person. So, you know, that part of Jamshed, I knew that I'll be able to connect with and I'll be able to portray in front of the camera. The more difficult part for me to get is that arrogance in Jamshed. Because I somehow felt when I was, you know, when I was reading about Jamshed that, you know, that arrogance, that pride that he has, that he knows his craft, he's good at it and he doesn't need to go to anybody to get what he wants. People will come to him. That kind of confidence and that kind of, you know, that slight good sort of arrogance, which I think, you know, we say that actors, a lot of actors do have that arrogance and that works for them. And that had to work for Jamshed as well. For me to get that arrogance was slightly difficult because I've always been told that you're very soft-spoken, you're an emotional guy and you think from your heart all the time. And all the characters, especially when I was doing television way back in 2010 to 2014, I always played those nice guys. So for me to break that mold and come into this Jamshed was slightly difficult in terms of, you know, forgetting what I've done, forgetting myself, forgetting what people talk about me. And when I enter these sets, just feel that, and you know, the entire set, the crew and everything that helped, the costumes helped. But to get that feel, there was a lot of unlearning. Whatever I've learned, whatever my conditioning is, whatever people talk about me. And to get into Jamshed's shoes, you know, I don't know how to put it in words, but a lot of it came from the workshops that we did. But at the same time, there was a lot of unlearning and learning from the kind of feedback that I was getting on the set, the kind of feedback that I was getting through the workshops. Even in the workshops, when I did, you know, enter first time, I was told, even Vikram sir told me that, "Tu bolta nahi hai, tu." Matlab, he asked me, "Are you enjoying the process?" I said, "Yes, I am." But I was so much into it, you know, I was listening more than talking there. So I was just trying to absorb every bit of information that was coming from him, from Atul sir, from Jogi ji, from Vikas. I was just trying to absorb everything. And then there was one day when I woke up, because the night before when I slept, I said, you know, enough. You need to tomorrow wake up as Jamshed. And I slept without clothes that day.
Yeah, no clothes theme क्यों है यार?
Yeah, because no,
I think everybody's taking artist nanga hota hai too seriously.
No. For me, Jamshed was, there was a scene where Jamshed, you know, Sumitra comes and puts water on him and he's in, you know, just with his sheet on. And the next day when I woke up, I felt like Jamshed. It felt okay. No, seriously. No, that was part of the process.
Nice, nice.
Anupam, this is a very different conversation and very different interview, you know. Otherwise, जहाँ 2 बार अगर ये जिक्र हो चुका होता, जहाँ हम कहीं और किसी इंटरव्यू में होते, वो अब तक स्ट्रिपिंग गेम्स खिला चुके होते.
Yeah, we're all
Because
very polite.
last segment is the game segment.
Yeah,
you know?
we're very well behaved, really.
Clearly, I'm not up to this.
No, ma'am. None of us, ma'am.
Thank you.
We have like a time, you know, after a certain number of hours, we start talking nonsense.
No, but you know, the other thing that I really enjoyed in the show is how these stories of 60, 70 years ago give us perspective on today.
Yeah.
Right? So something Jamshed says, at one point he says कि नाम तो बदलना पड़ेगा क्योंकि खान हीरो नहीं होते. You know, which made me just laugh out loud. Our biggest superstars are all Khans. For all of you, did it give you any perspective on the business today? Just doing such a deep dive into what it was 70 years ago?
Well, when I come to a film set, मेरे को तो बस एक बात से बहुत ज़्यादा proud feel होता है that because by the function of I had worked in 7 to 8 different industries before moving into acting. मैं बहुत ही गर्व के साथ कहता हूँ और बहुत जगहों पे ये you know over coffee conversations और dinner conversations कहता हूँ कि मैं एक ऐसी इंडस्ट्री में काम करता हूँ जहाँ हिंदू, मुस्लिम, सिख, ईसाई एक साथ हाथ पकड़ के खड़े होकर काम करते हैं. And I think I haven't seen that anywhere else. Anywhere. So my takeaway to that is वो सिर्फ एक फिल्म का डायलॉग है और बात सच है. वो एक ज़माने की बात थी वो and इसीलिए शायद वो उस एरा में डाली गई है. And it is amazing that what you said that today, you know, आमिर खान, शाहरुख खान, सलमान खान एक ऐसे देश में रहते हैं हम जहाँ पे 3 ऐसे सुपरस्टार हैं. I think that also speaks volumes about the you know कितने evolve हुए हैं हम as Indians. So yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, there's a line that Binod says, and I want to ask you, I want to pick out lines from the show and ask you, how true do you think they still are? Okay. So Binod says, जो चुप रहता है वो लंबा जाता है.
मेरी जिंदगी की प्रॉब्लम है ये. मैं तो बोलता बहुत हूँ.
Is this still true, folks? कि जो चुप रहता है वो लंबा जाता है?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
अब बोलने की जरूरत है.
This is a tough one. Twitter पे नहीं बोलना चाहिए. बाकी जगह बोल दो.
I think अब जो दिल से बोलेगा वो लंबा जाएगा.
Correct. That's what I say. You have to say the right thing, what you feel.
And your intention, it's not just to create a sensation. If you really feel something, you will say it, you know, you will say it with this thing to sort of actually maybe create some kind of change or something that you really feel passionately about, and that does hold value and people listen. But when you scream and create sort of sensational news, I think people sort of...
I mean, honestly, you've known me for a few years now, and
Yes.
I don't speak, and I'm tall, and
And आप तो सर काफी लंबे चल रहे हो सर.
and it's kind of so far so good. So.
But Anu ma'am, पहले वो बता.
I don't. What she said is right. Twitter is something which I believe that you don't have to say a lot of things. But because this is a very young team sitting in front of me, I would surely love to say that this industry has taught me one thing, that you should speak when it is needed, and you must wait for the right time to speak. That's very important, because I'm sure you are going to listen to a lot of things in your career, as you will grow. A lot of things you have to just try to avoid to say something. Wait for the right time. Wait for the right, because our time is only when we perform good.
Absolutely.
And that's our answer.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Vikram, I have to ask you, you know, like I said, the love is there in every frame. But my sense is that you love the movies, you're less enamored with the movie business, right? Even in AK versus AK, what you showed us was how vicious it is, how petty people are, how brutal it is. My thesis is that you think that there is a Faustian bargain when you come into a life in the movies, that you pay for it in some way. You pay a big price. I mean, Niloufar has this line कि film बनाने के लिए किसी न किसी के साथ तो सोना ही पड़ता है, या शरीर से या ईमान से. I mean, that really hits, you know. Where does this worldview come from?
I do think in the industry that by now, yes, I think learning to choose your battles, learning what compromises a compromise versus what isn't a compromise anymore. How many things are really important? Do you have to like focus on the small things or always, or sort of the big things? I think there is that, yes. But because a dramatic series, I feel you have to kind of do it in the series to make it. To make it
what's
feel
your
that way.
personal view?
My personal view on yes, to have a successful career in the movies. So it's interesting. I don't believe talent is really a word that exists, quite honestly. I think musicians are the only people who are talented. I think ability is everything else. No, true. I really believe that. I think it's ability. Everything's about ability. It's about the ability that you bring to how you do. Whether that's coming from a life experience or whether that's coming from just many hours spent in front of the television, whatever, learning sort of stuff. It's the ability you end up bringing, and it's that ability and how you work it and how you move it. We know the industry is a wonderfully democratic place eventually, because no matter who you are, eventually it's the audience that judges who you are. People will love your work and they will love what you do, and therefore you will end up kind of growing from there. But I think the using that ability and using what it is and knowing when to do what, knowing when not to do what, is what kind of is what kind of makes it. So no, I actually don't have a cynical worldview. I actually have a far more positive worldview, saying that we must all work with a lot of openness and that kind of stuff. You have to trust people. If you don't trust people, you're not going to be able to do anything. Yeah. And then, but yes, over a period of time, you do learn from your own mistakes. I made enough mistakes to know who not to trust anymore, who to trust anymore. That's a lot of that sort of like stuff which comes from experience. But yeah, but I don't have a doom and gloom outlook towards the industry. So.
As Prasenjit said, you just have to know when to speak.
Exactly.
Okay, last question, and then we'll open it up to the audience. There's another moment that'll come in the later episodes, guys, where there's a character who actually says about God that he's or she is very unfair, क्योंकि हुनर और कामयाबी में इतना फासला नहीं होना चाहिए. And it's such a great line, right? And this is the truth of the movie business, कि हुनर and कामयाबी में फासला कभी-कभी बहुत होगा और कभी नहीं होगा, and nobody has control on any of this. So I want to ask all of you as artists, given that this is the nature of the beast, what keeps you going? What gives you faith?
I think just the fact that we're in this world of cinema, which is so magical, and actually the only control, as you rightly said, the only control you really have is your own intention. Why are you there? What is it that makes you want to be there? Is it like, there are so many things that can make people want to be there, and I feel like if it is for that magic, which I think everybody, and I mean, it's for you as well, we love it. And that thing of creating stories, telling stories, being a part of certain directors' visions, and, being allowed to be a child on a set, where you are put through risky situations, but you are nurtured and loved, and you're creating these stories for people who then hopefully will hold you in their hearts and take you home. And that feeling is priceless. And whatever you have to go through for that, I agreed. You pick your battles. You figure for yourself as you grow, and some of us don't grow, don't grow up. But I think just to live that life, you are very blessed to live that life, and I think that is what keeps me going, is those dreams and the fact that, my God, you are a chosen one, that you get to do this every day in a playground.
So, I think about death almost every day in a very positive way. Especially after pandemic, whatever my journey has been, my spiritual journey, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं आज इस इंटरव्यू के बाद जाऊंगी और फुल पॉसिबिलिटी है कि कुछ हो सकता है, कुछ हो जाएगा और मैं खत्म.
I hope not. Yeah.
तो आज
Unity and death.
Oh God!
This got grim. It was supposed to be sexy. First everyone was naked, now it's dead.
So that really keeps me happy in life कि यार आज का दिन बहुत अच्छा है,
I love it. But that's great.
I feel like for me that is success. That मेरे वैसे भी कुछ जो पिछले कुछ 1-1.5 साल shooting for Jubilee and whatever other projects that I'm doing, it's so overwhelming मैं बहुत content हूँ अपने whatever that is happening in my life. Now, for me, that is success, you know, that I am so peaceful in life, you know. तो मैं खुश हूँ.
How lovely.
You know, मतलब क्या ही हो जाएगा, मर ही जाना एक दिन.
क्यों मरने की बातें कर रही है?
जीने
की बातें कर रहा हूँ.
मेरे लिए सक्सेस का मतलब सिर्फ एक है, जब जिस वक्त जो काम करने का मन हो उस वक्त वो काम करने की आजादी और खुद मुख्तारी.
This is Jamshed Khan for you.
क्या बात है, नंदन शेख संधू in the house, guys.
I think this line has resonated with me the most.
It's beautiful.
When I read this. It's for me, this is second innings for me, because when I did television, it was one of the biggest shows, and you know, after I stopped doing television in 2014, I didn't know where things are going, and then you know, the film happened, Super 30 happened, and all of that. Then the pandemic happened. So this is like a second innings for me. But when I read this line, apart from all the other things, this was one of the main reasons I said, no, I have to do Jamshed.
How lovely.
एक चीज मैंने जो किसी को बताई नहीं अभी तक, जो मुझे लगता था कि यार मैं हंसते खेलते और सारे कॉमेडी वाले पार्ट्स करते हुए आ गया. When I signed for Jubilee, because मुझे हर बार ऐसा लगता था कि यार ये शहर ना बहुत फिकल है, ये पता नहीं कब मुझे वापस भेज देगा दिल्ली. So मैंने अभी 1.5 साल पहले जाके, आई मीन आफ्टर वर्किंग इन रेडियो फॉर अबाउट 7.5 years, मैंने एक छोटा सा घर बनाया था दिल्ली में, और मैंने वो बेचा नहीं था ये सोच के कि यार ये बॉम्बे शहर मुझे वापस भेज देगा. सो अब जाकर मैंने साइंड फॉर जुबली, तब मैंने वो घर बेचा ये सोच के शायद मुझे अब जाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, बिकॉज आई एम इन द राइट प्लेस.
How lovely.
So yeah,
How lovely.
I had not told it to anybody, and जब वो बात चल रही थी ना, I was like, dude, अच्छा अब शायद मैं as in मतलब ये बातें अब शायद मेरे दिमाग में आएंगी. So yeah, I don't know.
I think this entertainment industry, whether it is cinema, television, or OTT, or whatever, nationally, internationally, I think we are the blessed people. We can make people laugh for 2 hours. Even you are into stress, you watch a OTT, a good show, or you watch a television show, and it's the most unpredictable profession in a way, I can say. Every filmmaker wants to do the best. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But again, we get a chance somewhere to prove ourselves. So I think we are blessed that we can make people entertain. And that's the thing I think we all are moving on to, you know, entertain people for years. And sometimes you will succeed and sometimes you will fail. And I think that's part of our life.
And that's what makes it so magical,
Yeah.
right?
मुझे
Yeah.
एकदम
And that's
से
the magic.
श्रीकांत रॉय की glimpse पूरा आया, like how you're talking about, you know, that we can make you laugh for 2 hours. Oh, we are the best people. Oh,
Yes. Like I think
always
about
feel
this
that.
a lot.
Yeah, blessed people.
You know, I just feel that everything we do from morning to evening, ever since जब से होश संभाला है, शायद जब समझ भी नहीं थी, everything that we do is to feel something. It's feelings. That is all we have. And I remember when I was just running, you know, because everyone in the city was just running, so I was just running. I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. And that's when I took like a little break and I just went away, and that's when I actually understood. I just stepped out of myself. I had to, and that's when I understood everything that we're doing is to just feel something. And somehow I've chosen this profession where I have this consistent need to feel and share those feelings. I wouldn't trade my life for anything, and that has actually kept me going. And I think हुनर कामयाबी ढूंढ लेता है.
Absolutely.
So set पे चाहे वो एक अच्छा take हो जहाँ पर सब आपके साथ हैं और सब रुक जाता है, even if it's for a few seconds, that is कामयाबी.
Yeah.
So
Well said. And with that, let's get the audience questions in. Okay, how are we doing this, Sneha? So,
We already have chits.
yeah, they're chits. Guys, pick up, call out names, and audience will ask you
हमें आज
questions.
cheating करनी है.
Vikram,
Don't say Masuri,
how
huh?
did you just say that?
Hi Yashi ma'am, how are you?
I
love you ma'am.
Hi.
Hi everyone. Firstly, congratulations on an amazing show. Absolutely loved the story and just the world that the team has created. My question is for Mr. Motwani. Hi sir, I'm actually a student at London Film School and we are always learning how to turn a scene or how every character should uniquely contribute to take the story forward. So while you were creating the show, of course, with the writers, which character for you was the most interesting or perhaps the most difficult to carve out and flesh really? And what's your approach when you're thinking of characters? Because of course they're all fictional characters at some point.
Which of these? Honestly, I can't choose which of the characters in that kind of sense. I think on paper, because it's the author background, I think Binod/Madan is the most interesting character because he's also the most complex in the sense of isn't like it's the juiciest part to be able to sort of like say, okay, this is going to be so delicious to be able to work with and do stuff, and how do you sort of like see these two personalities and that kind of stuff. Srikanth Roy is an extremely complex character as well, because how do you, in what we were discussing earlier, is the fact that even though he's a pioneer and he's someone you want to look up to and idol worship in a sense, there is also a darker side to him. I think Nilofer is a fascinating character because of, again, the agency that she has, in herself and the confidence, and but also when you started to bring personality into it. So I think, I mean, for me, they're all wonderfully complex. I think that's what, it's the great part of the medium. I think the medium affords you that. It affords you the chance to be able to say you can create characters that are going to be over 10 episodes. They're going to go through sort of conflict point after conflict point after conflict point, where the actions in episode 8 are not going to be the same actions they would have done had they been in episode 1. I think that's what you try and make more. Any great character should not be the character, a protagonist should not be the same person at the end of a film that they are at the beginning of the film, right? That's not, if it's A, it should be Z. And I think a series allows you to be able to sort of like really stretch them to their sort of like their limits.
I have a recommendation. If after the next 5 episodes we get a season 2, can Nilofer run the studio?
Why not? Must naach gana hoga sir uska.
And what's wrong with that, my friend?
Oh, I'll be performing.
That's right.
Yeah, I know Sumitra kept fighting to run it, but she didn't.
She did get a chance, so I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'll run it.
You will. You will. I have faith in you. Aditi, who's in your hands?
Oh, Dada.
Yeah, Anushree Shukla.
Hi everyone. So my question is to the cast. I'm just really curious, what qualities of your character did you most relate to, and vice versa? Like adjectives, anything that you could use would be helpful.
Sorry.
What quality of the character you most
Relate to,
relate
as
The one
people.
you played.
Yeah.
What do you most relate to in each of the characters you guys played?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly speaking, I think when we get a character like Srikanth Roy, my character which I played, I mean, it's not a relate. I think the script and the director's vision.
What quality of the character do
quality,
you relate to?
Okay. What quality of the character? Yeah, love for the cinema.
That's an honest
Absolutely.
answer.
For Srikanth Roy, it's love for the cinema.
Yeah.
Not even wife.
True.
What I relate to Sumitra Kumari, I think, is the fact that she loves so deeply and stands by what she believes in right till the end. And yeah, I think it's that real focus towards her dream and whatever it is that she desires.
मुझे लगता है वो जो फ्रीनेस है ना नीलोफर की, जैसे मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं कुछ भी कर सकती हूँ अपनी लाइफ में. मुझे ये नहीं लगता है कि अरे मेरे मॉम डैड खिलाफ हो जाएंगे मेरे या फिर मना कर देंगे. मुझे ऐसा लगता है उनका कोई फर्क नहीं, मान जाएंगे या मैं समझा दूंगी या तो मुझे नीलोफर से ऐसा लगता है कि उतनी फ्री नहीं हूँ मैं लाइफ में जितनी निलोफर शायद है, क्योंकि आई थिंक उसने वो सब बैरियर्स तोड़ दिए हैं. शुरू से वो पैदा ही वैसे बैरियर्स के उस तरफ ही हुई थी, तो you know. So yeah, the freeness, I guess, that's what I really.
So one thing I relate to is that I think Binod, after becoming Madan Kumar, I mean otherwise Binod, I think he's a hustler and a go-getter. I would like to consider myself as half a hustler, and at the same time, the thing I totally don't relate to is the unethical, way of hustling. Which of course, I mean, there might be a few people actually, I mean, not being unethical to this extent, जहाँ पर किसी का, खून करना पड़ जाए.
नहीं, तुम नहीं करोगे ना.
लेकिन मैं कह रहा हूँ, हाँ, लेकिन there are still people in the fraternity who have done unethical things in that hustling world. वो भी
बताई दो.
मेरे से वो अनएथिकल हसल भी नहीं होता है. क्या का आंसर सबको पता है, आपको ही पता है. Okay, yeah, that's it.
हाँ, Siddha.
For me, there are actually two things. One which is the only thread that me and my character had when I read the script, which is not knowing how to give up, no matter what life throws at you. Just keep going. You don't give up on life. Life doesn't give up on you. That was one. And the other thing that I received from the character, which is actually the fascination towards life, which is beyond जो तकलीफ़ें होती हैं, कैसे हम तकलीफ़ों को पकड़ के चलते हैं और तकलीफ़ें हमें पकड़ के चलती हैं. So we can't break free, we can't think beyond, we are like clogged. But there is something more, which is actually just, I can't find a better word, but it's fascinating. It's just breathing of the air which is free, which is beyond fear and pain. That.
Nice.
So about Jamshed, I think the best thing that I like about Jamshed and the quality that I connect with is his clarity of thought. He knows what he is made of. He knows that he's worked hard on himself, and he knows his craft, and he's absolutely clear about his self-worth. He doesn't doubt himself at all. I think that is something very, very important for an artist, to know his self-worth. Sometimes, as artists, we tend, sometimes it does get unpredictable for every artist. But from Jamshed, what I learned is that know yourself, work on your craft, and have clarity about what you want in life, and know where you stand, know your self-worth. And I think that's a very important thing that I've learned from Jamshed.
Nice.
वास्तु के हिसाब से जो भी लोग राइट पे बैठेंगे उनको मौका मिलेगा जो इस दिशा में बैठेंगे.
Hi, first of all, what a fascinating evening for me.
Thank you for using that word.
Okay, so my question is that there's obviously this pressure when you make a period film, and facts, research that goes into it. So in my opinion, that in some way does impact the creative perspective of doing things as well. So how do you manage that cinematic liberty while also being true to the nature of the story, the movie? So yeah.
Yeah, you have to kind of know when to stop. I think there's a tendency for period movies and films to sort of like to wear their periodness on their shoulders. I think there's the khadi, the starched khadi kurta, and the overuse of Urdu, and there is that. And I totally get. I mean, sometimes you want to be able to sort of throw that away. Honestly, I think it's yes, you have to research it to a point. You can't. It comes with two things. It comes with just the use of language mostly. And then it comes with just the making sure that the world around you is not incorrect. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be absolutely correct to the point. Now, and again, the question is how many people know that? So you can take it to a point. Like there is, for example, a lot of people have sort of told me that the fact that, but in those days, there would only be, you could only call from person to person through an operator always, right? And I'm like, I know that. And that was actually true even when I was a kid. But I'm also going by what I saw in Avara as well, where there's a direct call made in a movie in the 1950s, in 1951. And I'm like, if they did it then, I'm going to do it right now. You just have to find like what you want to be able to do and what not, and what sort of like works for you. while respecting this stuff. Eventually, you're creating your own world. You're taking research, and you're saying, okay, it's fine. So these clothes, these fabrics, these kind of cars, definitely. So that stuff is a given. And then you create your own world. You go and sort of create your own palette and your own colors and your own sort of like thing. And so even if that's not technically correct, it doesn't matter after.
Sorry. I'm like, Amit S.N. Mathur.
Left side.
Left side got lucky.
Hello?
SN stands for?
Satyanarayan Mathur. My father name Satyanarayan. Congratulations all of you इतनी अच्छी वेब सीरीज़ बनाने के लिए जो हमारे लिए एंटरटेनमेंट के साथ में हमें इंस्पिरेशन भी देती है कि हम बेहतरीन सिनेमा बनाएं। और मेरा क्वेश्चन आप सभी से है कि वो कौन सा ऐसा सीन था जो शूटिंग के पर्पज़ से बहुत ज़्यादा चैलेंजिंग था और एक्टिंग के पर्पज़ से भी आप सभी से?
सीन जो अभी शायद आपने देखा नहीं है आएगा अभी नेक्स्ट
अभी 5 जो हमने 5 एपिसोड देखे हैं उनमें से कौन सा ऐसा है?
5 एपिसोड के बारे में ही बात कर सकते हैं।
हाँ और बिल्कुल।
Damn it.
For me, the toughest scene and the most challenging scene, but also the one I was most excited to shoot was जब विनोद अपना पहला एक्टिंग कर रहा है, जो सेट पे पहली बार एक्टिंग कर रहा है, जो जमशेद का गोश्त देख रहा है वहाँ पे. That scene for me was always the most challenging scene because what one is doing in that scene, and it's that scene and the scene that follows afterwards when Sumitra goes outside and exposes the negative. I think because two things. One is that it was just rhythm pakadna. You have to catch a rhythm in that scene. That rhythm ends up coming from how you shoot it, how the camera is going to move, how the actor's performing it. You're also, in a sense, the clap constantly coming in and you keep swirling around and you're creating this world of a frenzy in Binod's head. At the same point in time, the fact that Jamshed is laughing over there, at the same point in time that Srikanth Roy is looking, at the same point in time the director is also there. You're also teaching people filmmaking in a sense in that moment. You're talking about camera runouts, you're talking about claps. So very, very challenging scene for me. But what's also interesting is that the subsequent scene where the negative gets exposed is that half the people would not even know what film ko expose karna hota kya hai.
Right.
Like what is the dhulai of a negative. But the fact that we are saying that what she's doing is wrong dramatically makes you also as the audience feel that it's wrong. That was a challenge. It's like, how do you be able to convey something that the audience might not technically understand, but they also know that shit, this is bad news. So for me, that was my favorite scene in terms of, or the most challenging scene to be able to convey from script to, to edit, and the use of background score and the sound and the acting and everything sort of comes together, I think, really well in that scene.
जो सर कह रहे हैं उसी से ही related scene है जो first episode का last scene है जहाँ पर the genuine audition scene which was also my audition scene in real life. जब इस शो के लिए मैंने ऑडिशन किया था कास्टिंग बे पे तो वही मेरा ऑडिशन सीन था. सेकेंडली जो सीन मुझे बहुत पसंद है इज जब लाइब्रेरियन मुझे आके बाहर कहते हैं कि अभी मत जा और मत बोल रॉय बाबू को कुछ भी, एंड वो मुझे डायरी दिखाते हैं कि मैंने किसके ऊपर 1 रुपया लगाया था. इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग मैंने शायद वो आपको एक आंसू टपकने वाला टेक भी दिया था, लेकिन आपने नॉन आंसू टपकने वाला टेक रखा है उसमें. मैंने वो ग्लिस के साथ आंसू नहीं टपका था, रियल में आंसू टपका था.
And you didn't keep it.
नहीं हाँ दैट्स ओके. आई मीन वो सर का मतलब सर की लैंग्वेज है. सो मेरा फेवरेट सीन वो इसलिए है कि वो असली में आंसू टपकने का रीजन मेजरली ये है कि व्हाटएवर जो भी छोटी मोटी बरकत मेरी लाइफ में हुई है इज नॉट, आई वुड लाइक टू बिलीव इज नॉट अ फंक्शन ऑफ some acting talent I have or some, I think मेरे आसपास मेरे दोस्त हैं ऐसे बहुत सारे जो मेरे लिए दुआ कर रहे हैं. They have made things happen for me. वो randomly कभी बंगला साहब गुरुद्वारा चले जाएंगे, कभी सिद्धिविनायक चले जाएंगे और मेरे लिए मत्था टेक के आ जाएंगे. So that friend, जो मुझे लाइब्रेरियन में नजर आया, जो मेरे लिए दुआ कर रहा था 1 रुपए की, they are my friends are ready to take the bullet in the chest in the middle of the night for me and they're ready to put money on me. So मेरे को वो हमेशा सीन जब मैं कर रहा था मुझे लग रहा था कि this is my school friend Vishal, this is my radio friend Yogi. So मेरे दिमाग में वो आता है, इसलिए that's my favorite scene.
इसी के दौरान ना शूट के दौरान ही मेरा ब्रेकअप हो गया था.
I love this conversation, guys.
ये इससे क्यों नहीं शुरू किया तूने?
Oh God.
Imagine what happened. Challenge was here.
Actually, the challenge is for Vikram sir. We are all like, we don't know. We were just.
Oh God.
Finish your story. Break up हुआ फिर क्या
I'm
हुआ?
so happy we have water here. Okay.
तो मैंने तो लाइफ में भी ना जैसे 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 अब मैं अपने क्राफ्ट को एंजॉय करना शुरू कर दिया है मैंने, और पहले शायद मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि पिछले जितने साल मैंने एक्टिंग की मैंने एक्टिंग ही की होगी, मतलब कुछ आता नहीं था उसको, पता नहीं क्या कर रही थी इसलिए मज़ा नहीं आ रहा था। पिछले 1.5-2 साल में समझ आया है कि ये तो कुछ और ही है, यू नो। अब इतना मज़ा आता है कि अब रियल लाइफ में भी जब कुछ खराब हो जाता है तो इतना मज़ा आता है दर्द में।
तो लो, so it's all material which you will use.
अरे है ना, आप मानोगे नहीं। एक सेकंड प्लीज सुनो ना।
ज़्यादा
अरे एक मिनट प्लीज। हाँ, मुजरा वाला गाना हम कर रहे थे, मुजरा वाला गाना चल रहा है और उसमें कोई ब्रीफ थोड़ा ना, तो इंट्रोडक्शन है नीलोफर को। मैंने अपने दिमाग में बना लिया है कि मैं नीलोफर को जब वो 14 साल की 15 साल की थी, उसको सलमान एक लड़का था जिससे प्यार हुआ था, तो मैं उस गाने के दौरान सलमान को याद कर रही हूँ, जो कि है नहीं है, ना ही स्क्रिप्ट में है, कहीं नहीं है, पर पूरे गाने को परफॉर्म करते हुए जो मैंने सलमान खान नहीं,
हाँ मैं समझ
कोई सलमान था नीलोफर की जिंदगी में लखनऊ में, मतलब मैं बीच में मेरे से रोना निकल जाता था जब मैं वो मुजरा कर रही थी, एंड इट वाज सो एंजॉयबल। तो मतलब तो बेसिकली चैलेंजेस ऐसे ही नहीं है, लेकिन हाँ वो बारिश वाला सीन बेसिकली।
सब मेरे को ये बताओ, सब इससे ज्यादा चैलेंजिंग कुछ हो सकता है क्या? कि पहला दिन शूट का, पहले दिन आप सेट पे गए हो, आपको पहले ही डर लग रहा है कि है ना वहां पर विक्रम सर होंगे और यू नो एवरीबॉडी इज गोइंग टू बी देयर। जमशेद खान का पहला दिन मुझे मतलब आई नीड टू गेट इनटू जमशेद खान्स शूज ऑन द फर्स्ट डे, और मैं ऑडिशन दे रहा हूँ और रीटेक पे रीटेक हो रहे हैं। वो ऑडिशन वाला जो सीन है सबसे पहले, वो पहला दिन हमारा शूट का था, एंड आई एम आस्किंग विक्रम सर, नो रिएक्शन। ये कम से कम हमने कितने 12-15 बार किया होगा, एंड विक्रम सर सिर्फ बैठ के देख रहे हैं। उसके बाद मैं एडीज को देख रहा हूँ, डीओपी को देख रहा हूँ, इशिका मैम को देख रहा हूँ, कोई तो साइड से ऐसा कर दे। इससे you know, this was the most challenging day for me, the most challenging scene for me of my life.
पहले 3-4 दिन ऐसा हुआ कि शॉट खत्म हो रहा है और विक्रम सर ऐसे बैठे हैं।
Now Vikram sir.
So we have Ishi ma'am in the house who's done stills. Ma'am, please एक बार जरा हाथ पकड़ कर दें अपना। I love you ma'am. जितनी बार आपने खूबसूरत तस्वीरें देखी हैं वो इशी मैम ने खींची, तो मैंने इशी मैम को पूछा जाके, मैंने कहा हम एक्टिंग ठीक नहीं कर रहे क्या, हम कुछ गलत कर रहे हैं क्या? कहती नहीं क्या हुआ बार? मैंने कहा सर हमेशा ऐसे सर पकड़ के बैठे होते हैं। नहीं विक्रम के दिमाग में एडिट चल रहा है। मैंने कहा ओह एडिट चल रहा है।
ये क्या सवाल पूछा है और ये क्या आंसर दे रहे हैं?
टीम जुबली।
Thank you Anu ma'am, had a great time. Thank you.